Thank you.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, this is kind of obviously a unique situation, what we're doing here. So I'm going to try to explain to you what's going on because I don't want anyone to think that it's being disrespectful. I have a screen in front of me that has either a live video feed or a picture of yourself or just your name. I don't have anyone in this room with me, so Tad's going to have, if he has to jump in or I need help or someone needs to save me, he's going to have to come in from another room. But one of the things that I have to do a good job of, and it's hard now, is I got to look at, it says, look here, look here. So obviously they know the coach doesn't follow instructions that well, to look into the camera. So when you ask a question, I might not be looking directly at you. I'll be looking at the camera. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I just don't want to do anything where just kind of trying to tell you the environment, that I'm in, saying, and obviously I understand the environment that you're in. I think first of all, I hope everyone's doing well, during these challenges times. Obviously this is a very unique situation, and as a coach, you want to get back on the field, and that's where we are now. And I'm coming off the field from a walkthrough period, But again, the challenge of safety first is obviously at its utmost, and I think when people think of training camp or preseason, I think we can all paint a picture of what we expect and what we look to get out, of the players and the coaches and the people around. But I think this is a very unique year. So I really don't even put it under that category of training camp and preseason, because we're in a ramp up period now, and it's a little bit different. I think people like to compare it to other situations of either lockouts or whatever it may be, but it was very difficult, obviously, for players to, find a place where they can be safe, where they can work out. I think the league and the PA did great, went to a great extent to try to get equipment to players, and we've done that also here. But at the same sense, it is different, and you have to be in obviously great physical shape to play this game. I think there's going to be a lot of challenges for us. I think there'll be a lot of anxiety in different areas. It's hard to pinpoint, what's going to come up next. You really, just doing the best job you can really at the time. So I feel really comfortable about the protocols. I mean, when we're in the building, you can see here I have a tracker on me that. There's a couple of different ways to wear it. You can wear it around your neck like I do. You can wear it in a wristband. You can, wear it in a watch setting. And one of the things is that, if you can see it just, flash blue, which means, I'm in good, physical distance, from everyone that's involved. But when it flashes red, and I know I'm too close to someone, hey, you know what? I just take 2 or 3 steps back and until it flashes blue. The meetings are difficult. The meetings are like this, kind of what we're doing right here. I've got the players, and we're installing and keeping the distance as maximum, maximizing the distance between our players, as much as we can in what we do. So. Again, it's I think the protocols that have been put in place by the PA and the NFL that are up to date, that are constantly being updated for the better of safety reasons, puts me in a less area of risk. But I think there's a risk for everyone. We all understand that. And I know that, we have opt-outs. No one has talked to me personally about their thoughts on that or considering that. That's not to say that can change. I mean, that could change over the next couple of days. We've been having a COVID meeting with our players as they come in, meaning, when our rookies came in, we made it available for them and their families, coaches and their families, on the phone with our doctors to ask questions, to get a lot of information, so we can get it directly from them. We'll be doing the same thing tonight with our veteran players coming in. So I'm sure that's going to, at least give me maybe a heads up to maybe what some of the concerns are, coming into this building, because I have not heard any yet so far. So that's really all I have to say, Tad. Probably
Thanks,
didn't
Coach.
even look at where it says "look here" the whole time. Probably looking
No,
down.
that was pretty good. That was pretty good. We're going to start with D-Rock and John. I see people using the hand feature, so thank you. I have a list going. We're currently at 14 questions, so we probably won't be able to get to everybody today, but go ahead and raise your hand, and obviously we'll do our best to get to everyone. So we'll start with D-Rock, and then we'll go to John Reed.
Hey, Doug, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. What kind of changes are you having to make to the schedule of practices, and how are you going to conduct practices with the elimination of the preseason games?
Yeah, well, I think there are so many changes, D-Rock, that has taken place as far as just your normal day. I mean, normal is really out of the picture, of the things that we're doing. As far as, coming in with the testing procedures, arrows on the hallway, signs on the hallway, split locker rooms, split, weight rooms, different areas, just to create that space. Meetings, where you're not, in front of anyone, a large group, you're not in front of anyone in a large group. You're, which is just something that's not the norm. I think that, I feel very fortunate that we had the meetings in the past before, where I think that's taken the anxiety out of it. I think we've gotten a lot out of that. I think on the field, how we bring players on the field, and you find things out. And what I mean by, you're constantly learning, it's like, okay, I mean, everyone's been part of a team before. After you're done as a team with a function, what do you usually do? You usually come together and get a break. All of a sudden I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, let's not do that right now. So these are the things that are, that are starting to come out. And trying to do it a better way. So from really A to Z, everything, you can't really say, hey, this is the same. There's physical distancing when it comes down to eating, physical distancing between coaches meetings. Right now we're actually handling all of our coaches meetings interactive. I call interactive where kind of try to label them to keep everything on track. Interactive is where they're in the building, but yet we're doing everything with the webcams, and virtual is when they're out of the building, where we're meeting with them virtually outside the building. So, things like that we're coming up with. And then obviously all the, return to the facility protocols, return to practice protocols, with all the testing that needs to be done. All of these things are different for us. What was the second part of that question?
Well, are you going to do, when you're actually back on the field, because there's no preseason games, are you going to do more scrimmages just to get look at most of those guys?
Yeah, for me, I think it's obviously it's I don't want to say an advantage because everyone knows, but being in college and going through something like this. So, when I knew there was talk about possibly not playing preseason games, I wound up breaking out the stuff that I did in college and looked at it, kind of reminded myself of, how I've done it, personally before. And then, I think for me, it's very easy to manage, and get in those situations, getting, that type of experience, getting that type of, live action, let's say, for lack of a better word. So I think I feel very comfortable as far as that part without playing the preseason games.
Thanks, D-Rock. We'll go over to John Reed and then to Brent. Go ahead, John.
How you doing, Coach? Other than the 6 players that you got on the COVID list, are you at full strength right now?
Yes, except for Yannick. Mm-hmm.
And have you had any conversations with Yannick?
I have not. No, I have not. But like I said before, he's one player that I know is always ready. If someone told me, hey, someone's not here and he's going to come back, I mean, or not, he's a player that's always ready, always taking care of himself. Like I said before, I'm going to reiterate it again. As a coach, you love for that perfect harmony between management and the player as far as the business end of things. And I think when you look at it, both sides have rights, from a management side to a player side. I think as a coach, you're always looking for a solution, that you can, be part of to help bring parties together. But Dave would probably be better to speak on where everything is at as far as, talks or whether they've talked or not, because with all the stuff that we've had and the change, you got to remember now, we didn't receive a lot of this information, or a deal wasn't struck with the PA until, really close to the time. Well, the amount of research, the amount of reading, the amount of questions that come up, the majority of my time has been really been with the protocols of keeping the players safe and being able to see what the best way is to ramp this thing up.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Thanks, John. We're going to go over to Brent and then Hayes. So, Brett, go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you.
Doug, from what Tad has painted the picture, and also you going on inside the building in terms of meetings, I visualize you in your office, having these team meetings or with the rookies. Is that unnerving to a degree to not know and see them and know if they're feeling you and all those things? How do you know if they're receiving what you're trying to tell them to the point that you want them to?
Sure. That's something that came up early, in this process of doing it. And, Mike Perkins and our video staff, we were on that early of, even though we're not going to be occupying the same space, it's obviously much easier to be able to, see where everybody is and be able to look at that. So Mike and the video staff did a great job of really putting in, these webcams where, I can actually see everyone. So, I have two monitors, or getting a second one put in now, when we get to the full roster, where I'll be able to see everyone, see everyone in the room. They can see me. So I think that's something that I would chalk up to that learning experience of, hey, listen, what's comfortable, what's uncomfortable, what do you think, can really help us? And, we were started on that very early in the process, knowing that it was probably going to carry on to the season. So that's how we've handled that. And actually, honestly, I feel a whole lot more comfortable, maybe because I'm sitting down. Like I told Tad, I'd like to do these meetings sitting down, but I feel really comfortable, and it's interactive. I can, put schedules up, put things up on PowerPoints. I can do a lot of things. I can, it's just, they've really done a good job of getting us ready, preparing us, where taking less of that anxiety that we would have in that situation out of it.
Quick follow-up. Can you yell at them if you need to?
Yell at who?
The entire team. If you need to really be stern with them.
Yeah, I'm not much of a yeller.
Only at me. Okay, we'll go to Hayes and then Gene.
Hey, Doug, good to see you. I'm curious, with everybody being behind in terms of development, losing the OTAs and the mandatory minicamp, did that allow you guys to do more work on scouting opponents on your schedule this season, or working on, larger projects in terms of, where the league is going and where you guys want to go with it?
Well, I think it's led to a lot of conversations about different things, technique, scheme, things of that nature, keeping ourselves busy there. When I look at, behind, not from really the mental aspect of it, as far as just type of college classroom teaching, which I think everyone can absorb and, I obviously, answer, the questions that you have on tests and everything, where I think, we've got to do a good job. And it just goes back to my own experiences. A lot of times, you get a little bit of extra work, you get this technique stuff. It's really going to be, behind on the technique aspect of it. So we've been really trying to do a good job of making sure that they visualize what we're looking for, even though we have them with them. Those are some of the things we're emphasizing now that, we feel we're behind on. The communication amongst each other when you're out there. You all know this game is not as easy as some seem. There's a lot of communication that goes on. So, we're looking at that now, trying to emphasize, where we are with that. And at the same point, making sure that, we are doing everything correctly to build this up. That's why it's difficult to answer questions of, hey, where's this guy? Where's that guy? When, we're not even going to be in, pads for a long period of time. And we have 2 days of really non-pads, of, an OTA type of schedule as far as practice. So But we're excited. I think that, right now I'm excited to see the veterans aren't in the building yet, so I have not seen them. Had good conversations with them over the summer, making sure that everybody was safe. Really, that was my main concern, and if there's anything we can do. But the rookies, and this has been my experience over time, is that, I'd say in my past, 99% of the guys will come in here and you really don't have to worry about them being in shape. I mean, they want to make a team, probably in a situation, and I told this to the young guys. I think if you look at our league and the history of our league, this is probably going to be one of the more challenging times for a young player to make a football team. One is because of opportunities. The other is going to be, a young football player that may, you may have some better players ahead of him, but not be able to play preseason games to get on film to, maybe get picked up by another team. So I think, the challenges for these young guys are much greater than they've been in the past.
Thanks, Hayes. We're going to go to Gene and then Gary. So go ahead and unmute, Gene. Thank you.
I did. Doug, last couple, you alluded somewhat earlier about, how coaches love to have, perfect harmony with players and on the business side. Last couple of years, unfortunately, you guys have had your share of distractions on both in terms of business and in terms of some things that have happened on the field. As a coach, how much of that really takes away from what your main mission is, and that is to win games? Is it as big on the inside as it appears to us on the outside?
I would probably say there's a balance. I would say with different situations, I might think it's bigger than maybe people on the outside think. I think that, sometimes on the outside, they may think it's bigger than what, we really feel on the inside. And I think that's the challenge of communicating that to everyone. But the first part of the question, I think that, communication is really the key in any aspect of something that's going on, whether it's a personal issue that's going on the outside, that's going to affect how you play, whether it's coach, player, coach, player management, all the situations you can think of is obviously going to, take something away. Now, how big of a bite it is, how much is taken away, a lot of it depends on that individual. I've seen very few, but I have seen where players have been able to block a lot of things out when they've kind of stepped in the building and, block that stuff out and were able to function and get better and do all the things that they needed to do for themselves and then get outside and have all that stuff eat away at them. Yeah. I think that the league has taken great strides in making sure that, that there is support available to them outside of just, the coaching staff and player development. I mean, really, truly some professional help because, one of the things you look at as a coach is, okay, what can come up? What could be some of those things, that cause, a lack of focus or anxiety that's going to hurt really the player and the team. And you try to get ahead of those things. I think now it's difficult because obviously there's a risk involved with this pandemic. I think that there's a lot of self-discipline involved. There's a lot of relying on your teammates and their self-discipline. I mean, unfortunately for me, fortunately maybe for my wife, I mean, I've been really staying away from my wife and children because they have a group of people that go on, and it's just a responsibility that we all have to each other to, not bring this virus into the building and not to really, not to spread it. So, there's a lot going on. I think as we go, you expect a lot of anxiety about a lot of different things because there is so much change. You always hear coaches talking about get into a routine and a certain type of structure and, but I wanted to make sure that I talk to our players initially before they come into the building, which I have with the young guys, that, this is going to be different. There are going to be a lot of changes. And I think the way the schedule set up, if it works with the rookies like it did with the veterans, where as coaches, you want to come in and it's always the same thing you hear. We got to set the tempo. We got to get these guys going. All of this stuff, and you've been away for a while and you want to do that. But, like I told the staff, hey, it's time for us to take a step back. It's time for us to, focus on the safety protocols first and foremost, so we can get everyone used to, conditioned, whatever the right word is that you want to use, to what's going on here, not only for themselves, but, for the safety of all the others around them. So, I think to answer your question, yeah, that stuff always does take away, because there's going to be some guys in a locker room that can ignore things and some guys that can't. Everyone handles that stuff differently.
Thanks.
All right.
You're
Thank you, Gene. We're going to go to Gary and then Mark Long.
Hey, Doug, how many times have you actually had the rookies on the field so far?
Four
times. Okay. Speak about your CJ and Caleb, and just for that limited amount of time that you've actually been able to have those guys on some grass. You talk about the progress you've seen or what you've seen out of those two guys.
I don't want to be like an ass and give a smart ass answer, but they look good. They can walk. We're just walking through, so it's hard to. But I'd rather go. This is one of the things I told these guys about. So we're in these walkthroughs, and a lot of times as a coach, you get up there and you talk to your team. Hey, this is the expectation, and a lot of it's about effort and competitiveness, and those are the things that you talk about. But for this time, I talked about, hey, listen, how do you prepare? How do you ask questions? How are you communicating? And then when we are on the field, how do you take to the coaching and things like that? So really, those two players and everyone else have really been doing everything that you like done. I think for me, the only anxiety I have right now is that if our next group of players come in and they're like this group of players that are in here, I think that's going to be pretty awesome. But if the next group of players come in with a whole set of different things, then we're going to have to communicate and solve those issues as we go forward. But all the guys that we brought in really came into play, with the options that we had. Whether we go from 90 to 80, where, like I said, where things are negative, or people may not look at as positive in the building, offices where we have offices with no windows or things like that. The one thing that the stadium has provided us was, we have 4 locker rooms. We have, we can split the stadium up, and, we have different ways logistically where we can keep everybody safe and still stay at 90, what I'm saying? And really get a good look at these guys, because, going through that extra work, the extra cleaning, to give someone an opportunity to make a team for us. I'm not saying that, I don't know what's, it could be, there may be a time where if, the team was different, that 80 might have worked for me, what I'm saying? But, we were able to stay at 90 and get that done. So, we're going to try to keep that, going until we were able to make a decision. And, we really can't make a decision, probably until we go to the phase 2. Part with the young guys, which will be obviously a couple of days, what I'm saying, before while as the veterans are walking through. I think we have about 3 days of that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, guys. We're going to go to Mark Long and then John Shipley.
Hey, Doug. I like the beard. Looks good. I was going to follow up on the 80-90. So you're going to have to do split practices. And how's that going to affect the coaching staff?
Yeah, it's really not. When you say affect them, like meaning what? Like being at two places, they're not going to obviously be at two places at one time. So it's kind of spread out the right way. But the way we have it set up with, interactive meetings and virtual meetings, keeping, obviously the two groups apart, we feel really comfortable. Logistically, I think, you look at, Tyler Wolf that works for me has done an outstanding job, figuring, all of that out, obviously with Scott Trulock and, everything that has to do with the protocols and talking to the league. So I feel really comfortable with that. As far as us as coaches, we're going to be able to accomplish everything we want because, we're still at a point where it's not like your veteran players are out there practicing full go, you know what I'm saying? And your young guys are out there practicing full go. Now you got to double dip, you know what I'm saying, everything and be on that field, saying all day long. There's two phases to it. The veterans are going to be in a walkthrough phase, and then we're going to convert the walkthrough phase for the rookies into a phase 2 phase. So, right then and there for us, we'll have meetings with them, but we're going to convert that. So basically we'll be doing the same thing that we've been doing for a couple of days. We're just converting the walkthrough for the rookies into a phase 2. And the only logistics that has to be is that, you have to be, if you did have a, that we ran into is if you had the walkthrough and you're on the field, well, that has to be 90 minutes apart, so you have to be 90 minutes apart. And that's why, we'll lose the walkthrough with the young guys, but we would have walked through enough, in my opinion, to get what we want out of them. And then obviously, maximize the phase 2 area of it and get that done.
And last one, are you taking any extra precautions for your at-risk coaches like Robisky and maybe some others?
Well, I think I talked to everyone about it. I think that, I talked to the young guys coming in tonight. We'll mention it to our guys, to stand up here and say that, hey, there's no risk. That's not true. We all have to take risks. So, like I told the coaches, and I told the players that came in, I haven't talked to the veteran guys yet, is that, whatever you decide, if you decide to opt out, obviously we respect that decision. I mean, totally. And it goes to the same with the coaches and what they want to do. At any time, I told the coaches, you feel uncomfortable, just tell me and we'll see what we can do. So, right now everyone's, doing what they're supposed to do.
All right. Thanks, Mark. We're going to go with 3 final questions. We're going to go to John Shipley, Jamal, and then finish with Demetrius. So go ahead, John.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for doing this.
Sure.
Has there been any conversations, with the team about potentially having a quarterback that's on the roster quarantined during the season? I know a couple other teams have mentioned the possibility of it. Have you guys given any consideration to it?
Yeah, well, we wouldn't have conversations with the team about that. You meant between us and the coaches, right?
Yeah, my bad.
Yes, we have had a conversation with it. I think the way that I'm approaching it is, we don't have to make that decision now. So, we talked about, hey, the pluses and minuses of development, whom that player might be. There's a lot of things that go into it. So I think as we get kind of closer to, the part where we feel that player would need to be kind of quarantined, I think that conversation will come up again and we'll see where we are with the team then.
All right, great. Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Thanks, Shipley. We're going to go over to Jamal St. Cyr.
Hey, Coach, how's it going? Quick question for you. You've gotten some contributions from undrafted guys in the past. How difficult is it going to be for those undrafted guys and late round draft picks to really make an impact and impression during training camp with no preseason games for you?
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges, like I said before, of this group that's coming in. I think that there's a lot of guys that we spent a lot of time on, whether it be scouts and coaches, or one or the other. And that's why when it came down to, hey, we can get to 80, and logistically that makes things easier, at least for our club. I just didn't think we can do that because, like you said, we've had success before, and I think you go around the league and there's a lot of success with it. So I think trying to get a good evaluation of the 90 to the 80, is going to be important. I think once you get to the 80, you'll be able to put them in situations to see if they're going to be able to help you or not. Like I told them, that it might not be as many reps, meaning like, if you had joint practices and things of that nature where, you're getting a lot of those reps and then you're getting the reps in a preseason game, it's not going to be necessarily that way. But I do think that, you're going to have to, really spend probably a little bit more time, about the personnel issues earlier than you would rather than saying, hey, let's see where we go. Let's see how this thing works out. So my philosophy is always you coach them all like they're going to start for you, and then you put them out there on the field and see which ones earn it.
Thanks, Jamal. And reminder, Sunday, August 16th is the deadline to get down to 80 players on your active roster. We'll go to Demetrius for the final question today.
Hey, Coach, I appreciate you doing this. Obviously, Jan is a very important part of this team in terms of whenever he's going to report, he'd probably be a big part of your game plan. Are there any adjustments being made to your game plan or to how you go about installing your defensive philosophies without Jan, or are you just going to prepare as if he's going to be there regardless?
Well, I think that, I think when we look at the draft and you look at, free agency, I think, we tried to, as a coach, you want to prepare yourself for any situation. So I think we're prepared, obviously for the first one, we're prepared. We're prepared for every different scenario that can, possibly occur. So we feel we're prepared for it, and we're ready to whatever action happens. We'll be able to move on. But it's not anything where you wouldn't want to take that risk. What I'm saying, of assuming that something's going to happen and putting yourself into, backing yourself into a corner where now you're always adjusting. It's much easier with the plans that we have now that whatever happens, it's kind of built in, and then, there's just really no adjustment, if it goes the other way.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thanks, Coach. We look forward to having you back on Monday. For everyone else, let us know if you had any technical issues with the team's call today. Again, we'll send out the links for Coach Marrone's video, audio, and the transcript later this afternoon. And again, if you have any issues with those, let us know. Any suggestions, comments, welcome. We look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow at noon for CJ Henderson and Kaylavon Chason. Thanks, guys.
Could I have an ending statement?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to say, I kind of talked to the coaches about this too, about, just having, some type of patience of what's happening. And when, Tad and I got together with the schedule, I said, hey, listen, let's kind of keep it a little bit structured because, these schedules may change, as we go through this. But, know that I think you guys that have been around me now know that, hey, if something comes up and it needs to be addressed, go to Tad and we'll work that out. I don't have any issue with that. I feel very comfortable. And I think it's a credit to, the guys that are on this call. I feel very comfortable that, at the last minute, I don't need to be schooled up, prepped up, or need 2 days to come out here and talk. So, if something comes up outside of that, if Tad thinks it's important, we'll be out in front of it, and I'll be out here. And, if it's something that, you guys collectively think of that, hey, listen, we need Coach because we got to get these questions answered. Hey, go to Tad, and I'm more than happy to do it. So I just want to make sure you guys knew that, and I appreciate that. All right. Thank you, Tad.
Yeah.